Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Teveron here, and welcome back to another episode of Friday Night Magic. This week, I am feeling much better. I seem to be over whatever sort of illness I have. Maybe it was just really bad allergies, I don't know, but my voice feels pretty much fully recovered, so that is a great thing, and I hope you guys are ready to have some fun, because we are going to be playing a deck that I'm calling Big White. It's sort of an amalgam of mid-rangey / controlling white and Eldrazi cards. Without further ado, let's see what we've got going on here. We start out our list with a pair of Knight of the White Orchid, and this may be a card that you guys have not seen in a while. I know it's a card I haven't played with in a while, but in this deck, it is pretty good. It serves as a ground holder, as a 2/2 first strike for 2, and also a bit of acceleration. If the opponent happens to have more lands than us, we get to fetch a plains and put it onto the battlefield. Good stuff. Also in the 2-drop spot are a pair of Selfless Spirits, which serve to give us some evasive beaters for early in the game, as well as just a creature that we can deploy early on so that we don't get overrun. And then a bit later, it can protect our other creatures. Also combos with a couple of other cards in the deck. We're running Sweepers and Archangel Avacyn, which we will discuss when we get to that point. We're also running 3 Topan Freeblades, which may seem like the strangest card in the deck thus far. However, we really do need to have early game presence if possible, so that we can keep our life total high enough that when we get to the late game, we don't just die to a bit of reach from the opponent. And Topan Freeblade is a good one, because it is a 2-mana 2/2 with Vigilance, meaning it can attack and block in the same set of turns. And the Renown trigger on it will make it a 3/3 should it happen to hit the opponent. We're running a pair of Blessed Alliance for 2 mana. It's a really versatile removal spell, allows us to gain some life, make the opponent sacrifice a creature, and or untap up to 2 target creatures, and we can do however many of these as our mana will allow. We have a pair of Spatial Contortion for some targeted removal, the first of the colorless exclusive costs in the deck. For 2 mana, we get to give a creature +3/-3. As a little bit of added versatility, we can also pump our own creatures if they happen to have more than 3 defense. We are running 2 Declaration in Stone, very efficient removal, exiling a creature and all other creatures its controller controls with the same name. It does give our opponents clues for each non-token exiled this way. However, that is a price that we must be willing to pay to have access to one of the better removal spells in white. 2 Thalia, Heretic Cathar. This is a good card, again, at holding the ground and slowing our opponent down. It does have first strike, and it makes your opponent's creatures and non-basic lands enter the battlefield tapped. We are running a pair of Eldrazi Displacer, the first of our Eldrazi creatures. For 3 mana, we get a 3/3, and for 2 and a colorless, it can exile another target creature, then return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. This can keep our opponent's creatures locked down and unable to hurt us, or it can protect our own creatures from targeted spot removal. We are running 3 Seer's Lantern, as this deck is quite mana hungry and is one of our colorless exclusive mana sources. Also, it has the added bonus of being able to pay 2 and tapping it and getting to scry 1, so it helps us find our relevant cards when the situation calls for it. We are running Gisela, the Broken Blade, who is a great 4-mana creature in a controlling sort of deck. It's a 4/3 flyer with first strike and lifelink. Also, if we happen to have Bruna out, who is also in this deck, then at the end of turn, they merge into Gisela, Voice of Nightmares, who is an absolute monster. Also in the 4-drop spot are a pair of Thought-Knot Seers, great at ripping the opponent's hand apart, taking their best card, and even should the Thought-Knot Seer leave play and let the opponent draw a card, in most situations, them drawing a random card is usually going to be worse than the best card that we just stripped from their hand. Also, a rather large body. We're running 2 Suppression Bonds, sort of as a catch-all answer. This card allows us to deal with Planeswalkers. Enchanted permanent can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. We're running Gideon, ally of Zendikar, who is both an aggressive and a controlling Planeswalker. He can beat as a 5/5 indestructible. He can pump out 2/2 White Knight allies, or he can emblem and give all our creatures +1/+1. Also, Archangel Avacyn, as we mentioned earlier, Flash Flying Vigilance protects our creatures, is a surprise blocker. We can sacrifice our Selfless Spirit to trigger her flip effect, or she can just trigger it when something else dies all on her own. And flip into Avacyn the Purifier on the next upkeep, and when it does, deals 3 damage to each other creature and each opponent. There is a trick that we can do with Avacyn and Eldrazi Displacer, should we happen to have both out on the board at the same time. And what that is Archangel Avacyn triggers, we go to the upkeep, and she flips. With her 3 damage trigger on the stack, we then activate Eldrazi Displacer's Blink ability, blinking Avacyn, and when she blinks, she comes back as regular old Archangel Avacyn, and we get the indestructible trigger again. That will allow us to wipe our opponent's side of the board and deal 3 damage to them, while keeping our side of the board alive. If it so happens that we can pull that off, that's a very difficult situation to manage, but it's good to know that it is available to us. We're also running 2 Reality Smasher, a 5-mana 5/5 with Trample and Haste, and when it becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, they must discard a card or that spell is countered. So this is a great finisher in the deck. Also can be a great blocker in a pinch. It is a 5/5 that's very hard to kill. We are also running Skysovereign, Consul Flagship. Skysovereign is great at holding the air when it comes into play, or attacks. It deals 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. The crew is a bit high at crew 3, but most of our creatures can do that on their own. And when it is a creature, it is not an insignificant body. It's a 6/5 flyer. We are running the 2 Planar Outbursts that we mentioned earlier. This is also a combo with Selfless Spirit. We can sacrifice Selfless Spirit, give our other creatures indestructible, play Planar Outburst, and it's a one-sided board wipe. Also works with Archangel Avacyn, should we happen to have 9 mana available. We are running Linvala, the Preserver. For 6 mana, we get a 5/5 flyer with 2 very relevant enters the battlefield triggers, especially in a more controlling deck, as this is. If an opponent has more life than us, we will gain 5, and if they have more creatures than us, we get an additional 3/3 white angel with flying. We are running 1 Endbringer, the last of our Eldrazi creatures. For 6 mana, we get a 5/5. It untaps during each other player's untap step, also untaps during ours, but I don't think that really needs to be on the card. We can tap it to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. We can pay a colorless and tap it, and target creature can't attack or block this turn. Also, we can pay 2 colorless and tap it, and draw a card. And the final non-land card in the deck is Bruna, the Fading Light. 7 mana 5/7. When we cast Bruna the Fading Light, we may return target angel or human creature card from our graveyard to the battlefield. She has flying and vigilance, and as we discussed earlier, merges with Gisela into Brisela Voice of Nightmares. Our mana base is as follows: 7 plains, 1 swamp. You may notice some black mana in the deck. There is no black in the deck as far as spells to cast. It is exclusively so that we can play our Shambling Vent. So 1 swamp, 4 wastes, 2 Shambling Vent, 2 Westvale Abbey, 2 Isolated Chapel, 3 Aether Hub, and 4 Evolving Wilds for a total of 25 mana, with our Seer's Lantern back here again. That is a total of 28 mana sources in the deck. That is the entirety of the list. Let's have some gameplay, shall we? Alright, opponent plays first, which is fine with us. We have the Knight of the White Orchid, we also have Selfless Spirit, and this is a pretty good hand, so we are going to keep it. We can go turn 2 Selfless Spirit, into turn 3 Knight of the White Orchid, and hopefully they will have made a third land drop so that we can ramp a little bit. We're going to lead off with this Isolated Chapel, see what the opponent does. We could actually play Aether Hub, and hold up Spatial Contortion instead of the Selfless Spirit, or kill whatever they deploy on turn 2, if indeed they do deploy something. And then we'll still have the white mana from the energy on Aether Hub to play Knight of the White Orchid. Elvish Visionary from the opponent. I don't think that that is a creature that I'm thrilled to be Spatial Contortioning, so I believe it will be we'll be on our original plan of just playing out Selfless Spirit. And as such, we will go with the plains so that we won't be spending energy for the Knight of the White Orchid next turn. We will pass back. Need to hit our pass turn button since the Selfless Spirit does have an ability we can activate. The game is waiting for us to do so. Alright, a second Aether Hub from the opponent. That's going to allow us to ramp with our Knight of the White Orchid, which we most certainly want to do. Reflector Mage on Selfless Spirit. Well, that is unfortunate, but not horrible for us. With this mana base so far, I'm guessing we're probably against a blink deck. So, we want to make sure and play our Knight out before we drop a land so that we can get its trigger. Yes, we do. We will grab ourselves a plains, then we will play our Aether Hub, and we want to go ahead and Spatial Contortion this Reflector Mage before our opponent can untap and have a blink effect ready. Alright, to turn 4, we're still on 19 life, which is a very good sign for this deck. Doesn't mean we are guaranteed to win, but it is better than us being at a lower life total for certain. Yep, there is Eldrazi Displacer for the opponent. We will most likely be Suppression Bondsing that, although they can get rid of it with a blink spell from hand, so maybe that's not what we want to do. We could just hold up Blessed Alliance here. I think that's probably what we want to do. Would be nice to be able to escalate it. However, we also want to develop our board, so we'll go ahead and deploy this Selfless Spirit. We'll be satisfied with just the sacrifice portion of Blessed Alliance. And we're not going to attack. We should probably go ahead and just fetch so that we don't forget. And we want a Wastes, since we have ample white sources at present. We do want to have multiple colorless sources should we draw our own Eldrazi Displacer so that we can activate it multiple times in a turn if necessary. Alright, opponent is making their land drops. Acrobatic Maneuver. Blinking Elvish Visionary. Very well. Let's see if they choose to swing with the Displacer. I'm guessing no. Well, let's see. Another Evolving Wilds. We also have up Archangel Avacyn now. Let's go ahead and play our land and sacrifice that. We have 3 whites, so we are again going to go ahead and get a waste. And we're going to hold up Avacyn. Hopefully the opponent will not have a counter spell. And we're going to attack with our Selfless Spirit. And pass the turn. Suppression Bonds is a card that is much less useful versus one of these blink decks than it is versus most other decks. We may actually not get an opportunity this game where Suppression Bonds will be excellent for us. It would need to be them playing a Planeswalker, I think, to get the best use out of it. Alright, well, we are going to go ahead and play our Archangel Avacyn. It will probably be blinked by the Displacer, but it will give our Knight of the White Orchid indestructibility, so it can safely block this Displacer. Not playing the Blessed Alliance because they do have, well, I guess we could have, they only have one energy, so they don't actually have Spell Queller available to them. Go ahead and block there. Thalia making our Archangel Avacyn come into play tapped, which is unfortunate. Thought-Knot Seer is a pretty good draw here. We're going to start out by attacking though and see what transpires. Now, we want to leave a white source up, and it looks like that's what's going to happen. So here is Thought-Knot Seer. Let's see what we can grab from the opponent's hand here. That is if a Spell Shrivel isn't forthcoming. Alright, they're going to blink something with Displacer. Archangel Avacyn. Very well. See what we can get. Alright, 2 Acrobatic Maneuvers and an Elvish Visionary. I don't think I care very much about the Elvish Visionary. Let's take one of their blink effects. Need to remember they have a waste, a visionary, and another acrobatic maneuver in hand, because this gives them not only the blink effect and whatever enters the battlefield trigger that whatever creature they have gets, but it lets them draw a card as well. And we will pass. Alright, well, that was the card they drew because they did not have it in hand when we looked. So we have perfect information. They still have a visionary, an acrobatic maneuver, and a waste in hand. We're not having to worry about Spell Queller here, so that is great. Okay, well, let's play our Blessed Alliance and make them sacrifice a creature. They're going to blink it, as expected. Now there's no attacking creature, so they don't have to sacrifice it. However, we also don't have to take 3 damage. So now they have an unknown card in hand. And that unknown card is Nissa. So they are going to get a forest here. They're not going to be able to flip her as they've already played an Evolving Wilds this turn. Planar Outburst is very good here. However, we are going to... Are we going to attack first? No, we can actually get in more damage by outbursting first. So, let's sacrifice our Selfless Spirit, which will also flip Archangel Avacyn on the opponent's upkeep. Then we will Planar Outburst, which is going to wipe the opponent's side of the board. We will be losing our Knight of the White Orchid as well. However, that is perfectly fine, as the flip trigger will also kill the opponent should they not be able to remove it in response to the trigger. Avacyn will flip. Bye to Knight of the White Orchid. And bye to the opponent as well. And I'll see you guys in the next game. Okay. This hand is a bit slow. We have a turn 3 play, and then we still need more lands for any of these other cards to come online, so I think we need to mulligan this. This is maybe a bit better. We have Contortion. We still need more lands. I don't think we can go down, though. We will keep this and play out our Shambling Vent. Also going to need colorless sources to actually play our Spatial Contortion, or our Reality Smasher there. Wandering Fumarole from the opponent. Alright, that is not a colorless source. However, it is a creature we can play. Would need to rattle off some lands here so that we don't fall behind, hopefully. Alright, Lumbering Falls. This leads me to believe that we are against a Planeswalker deck. And there is our colorless source. Right on time, thankfully. So we'll go ahead and play out our Displacer and crash for 2 with the Topan Freeblade. Growing said Topan Freeblade, so henceforth it shall be a 3/3 with Vigilance. Right, basic forest for the opponent into Sphinx's tutelage, so I suppose it is not, after all, a Planeswalker deck. It is a Sphinx's tutelage deck. And we continue to draw lands as we wished. So that's very good. So the question here is, do we spend this energy to get in with our Shambling Vent? And I think the answer is most definitely yes, as we still have 2 white sources even after the energy is gone. Get in there for 8, taking the opponent to 10. It is important to try to kill these Sphinxless tutelage decks. Sorry, I'm having trouble Englishing today. It is important to kill these Sphinx's tutelage decks as fast as possible so that they don't mill us out. Radiant Flames, that is unfortunate. What did we lose in the mill? Blessed Alliance and a waste. We still would like to draw a 5th land here. We did. That is great. Reality Smasher is going to do exactly what its name implies. Just let him do what he's good at. Or it. Don't really know what it is, honestly. Opponent down to 5. Milling a couple more cards from us. Getting an Outburst and an Aether Hub. They are playing a Fevered Visions. This doesn't look very good for them. They could have a Lightning Axe, perhaps, which would cause them to need to discard 2 cards because of the Reality Smasher's ability here. Alright, they milled a Lantern and a Freeblade, a Selfless Spirit, and a Thalia. Well, let's play this. Then we will activate our Shambling Vent. And attack for possibly the win, though they could have the Lightning Axe, as I said. They have a Fog, okay? That will work as well. We are at 38 cards in our deck, not in a particularly bad danger of being milled yet. Going to draw a card here, Skysovereign. Would love that to have been our second Reality Smasher, but we take what we can get. 2 lands that time. We are at 6 mana, 1 more mana source, and we can cast everything in the deck. Bruna is 7 mana. Alright, drawing with the Fever Visions, milling us for another 2 at minimum. And it was just 2, again 2 lands. There is Eldrazi Displacer. So we could play the Displacer to protect our Reality Smasher, or we could just animate Shambling Vent. Well, Reality Smasher is lethal on its own, should they not remove it. So, Displacer also serves as ridding us of a blocker should they animate a land, so we're going to go with the Eldrazi Displacer. Well, should the land not be the Lumbering Falls, as it has hexproof. And we will attack. Alright, something's going on. Animating the Fumarole, so we will pause and blink the Fumarole. And that's the ball game. Awesome. I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright. Would love to have a second white source. And as such, I don't think this hand is keepable, though we do have Blessed Alliance. I guess if we draw a third land, it's very close. Let's risk it. Hopefully we will top deck a Plains, or another white source of some sort. Looks like we are up against aggro, playing a waste into Bomat Courier. They almost certainly have red in some form in the deck, even if it's only mana sources. Otherwise, the second ability of the Bomat Courier is useless. And we did draw a plane, so that's great. We're going to go ahead and play our Evolving Wilds and sack it. We're not in too desperate a need of a colorless source, as we do have our Seer's Lantern in hand, and it serves as a colorless mana source for us. Colorless mana source, I think I said force there, thinking back. And we're going to take another one from the Bomat Courier. See if the opponent has something further to deploy. And they have a Bonded Construct, so this seems actually to be perhaps Artifact Eldrazi aggro. That is interesting. Well, we do not want to play our Knight yet. We are going to hold up Blessed Alliance, that way we can get the Enters the Battlefield trigger on our next turn should our opponent play a third land, which I very much hope they do, so that we can do that. And they do. So they have yet to find any red mana. Hopefully we can get rid of this Bomat Courier before they do find one. Let that exile. We'll go ahead and Blessed Alliance and have our opponent sacrifice one of these attackers. And they choose the Bomat Courier. Interesting. So we will be taking 2 here. And our opponent plays a Pilgrim's Eye, so probably finding a colored mana source now, perhaps? And no, they find another waste. Interesting. We will play our Knight. Get its trigger for another Plains. Yes, we do. And we will deploy our Shambling Vent, as it does come into play tapped, and we don't have a 2-drop to be playing right now. Next turn we have Swamp, or should we top deck a colorless land, then we will play that and Reality Smash. Otherwise, we will probably be playing out our Seer's Lantern. This Knight of the White Orchid potentially can hold off the Bonded Construct here. Matter Reshaper. From the opponent, I actually tested Matter Reshaper in this deck and just found it to be a bit slow and lacking. I needed more 2-drops, which is where the Topan Freeblades made their appearance, and I've been very happy with them thus far. Alright, I guess we are going to ramp. So, let's Lantern into Lantern. And that's a lot of mana. We will just sit back, try to preserve our life total, and let our bigger cards come online. Drawing some of our late game creatures would be great, some of the angels or others. Well, our knight is dying, which is unfortunate, but kind of expected. We will be taking 6 here, and probably needing to Planar Outburst on our next turn. Hopefully they won't hit anything terribly useful off of the Matter Reshaper there. Let us go ahead. We want to leave one of the Seer's Lanterns up, so that's good. And we're not going to Awaken. I would much rather Scry at this point. Let's see what they get from their... Oh well, they got a Scrap Heap Scrounger. That is a bit unfortunate. And there he is, so we're going to be taking minimum 3 here. Hopefully we can get our Shambling Vents to start gaining us some life soon. Alright, Chief of the Foundry, so we're actually going to be taking 4 here. Alright, we're going to go ahead and Scry. And we'll bottom that land. Need to draw some gas. Linvala would be very nice. Unfortunately, it is not to be. So we will fetch. We will get a waste here. We do not have enough to play both Reality Smasher and Suppression Bonds, so I'm going to go with the Smasher. And as much as we would like to swing, we will not. If they have removal capable of killing the Smasher, then we are dead here. And if not, then we're still in the game for a little bit. We are dead. Alright, hand was just a bit too slow. Probably should have mulliganed it. But you can't win them all. No use to block. We're dead no matter what. Good game, opponent. I will see you guys in the next one. Yeah, we can't keep one land. This is a bit better. And opponent's going first. We will keep. Being on the draw is better for Knight of the White Orchid. However, in general, it's better to be on the play. Especially as aggressive as the Magic Duels metagame is right now. Let's play our Shambling Vent, shall we? We will probably go Isolated Chapel next turn so that we can fetch a waste with the Evolving Wilds. Ooh, a second Knight. Interesting. Wonder if we can actually manage to get both of them to trigger. It'll take some maneuvering to do so. Well, Evolving Wilds for the opponent. Do we have a third color here? We do not. Well, the opponent not playing things the first 3 turns is good for us. Let's go ahead and play our Knight of the White Orchid. We will get ourselves a Plains. And we will fetch with our Evolving Wilds for a waste. Well, select it please. There we go. Explosive Vegetation. So they are Teamer and they're ramping. And they have Colorless as well. Good to know. The play here is probably Thought-Knot Seer. See, we can Knight, get our Plains, then play Westvale and play Thought-Knot Seer, so let's do that. They do have more land than us, thanks to that Explosive Vegetation there. Yes, I do. Let's hope they only have one huge monstrous threat in hand that we can take. And we get the Big Daddy. Good deal. Should have probably looked at that a minute longer and remembered what they had. However, I was really excited about getting Ulamog. No, they had a From Beyond in their hand. Maybe a Radiant Flames? Definitely should have looked a little longer. Committed to memory. There's Nissa's Renewal, so they're going to be gaining 7 and getting 3 basics here. We're going to hedge against a Radiant Flames that I really should know whether they have in their hand. I know they had a red card. It was Geist Blast, wasn't it? So maybe not Radiant Flames. Skysovereign is nice. Well, let's crash for 8. Putting them down to 1 lower than they were before they played that Nessa's Renewal. Go ahead and play our Seer's Lantern. And I think we're going to hold Thalia for now. We're going to scry with the Seer's Lantern. See if we can't get some relevant threats here. There is the From Beyond. And there is the Geist Blast, killing a knight. Alrighty. Well, let's scry. Topan Freeblade. I think I'm going to bottom that, look for something bigger. Well, that is a land, which is a bit unfortunate. Let's play it, though. We can activate Vents. That would not leave us enough up to play Skysovereign, though we could play Thalia out. Let's go ahead and get some damage in. Get in 8, gain 2 ourselves. Still have the ability to Seer's Lantern and Scry, or Blessed Alliance with Escalate. And if we play Thalia here, we are representing lethal next turn. So I think we should play Thalia. See what they have. Between the Scion and the lands, they do have 11 mana, now 12. Well, 11, it comes into play tapped. Green Warden, okay. Which is going to recur Geist Blast, which they can't cast because their mana got tapped incorrectly. And so, I guess we win. I think we probably still would have won regardless. However, it would have been much more difficult had they actually been able to play that Geist Blast. And so, let's hedge our bets and animate our Shambling Vent. And swing. And we shall see what happens in the next game. Okay, I think we can keep this. We'll fetch for planes, and then most of our hand will be online. We do need to rattle off some land drops, but I will just have confidence that that will happen. As you guys can see in the games thus far, it is possible to play Control on Magic Duels if you want to. I've played this deck. Also, in a past F&M, we did Esper Control and other things. However, it is undeniable that aggro of many different ilks definitely have the advantage in the Magic Duels meta at present. Alright, well, we will go with Aether Hub and play our Topan Freeblade. Alright, the opponent is getting off to a slow start here. That is very good for us. Alright, red and blue. Well, we'll go ahead and play our Displacer and get our Topan Freeblade to Renowned status, shall we? Alrighty, let's hope we don't see a third color into Radiant Flames here. Well, there's the third color, but not the Radiant Flames, so that's good. This is Pilgrimage. Land, please? Yay. That's good. Let's go ahead and swing for 6. Could have just played our stuff out pre-combat. They are tapped out. There's really no reason to wait to second main phase, but that's what we've done, so no big deal. Let's play Gisela, shall we? Again, hoping not to see a Radiant Flames here. And it's Fevered Visions. I think we're in pretty good shape versus Fevered Visions, at least at present. We could get fogged into oblivion, though, that is for certain. But what else can we do except try to get there? And there is a fog effect. Commencement of festivities. And we'll see what the opponent's got going on after we draw our card, of course. Well, there's a Shambling Vent. That's nice. Nissa? Well, we will be killing Nissa. Don't want Planeswalker on the board right now, that's for sure. At least there's no Sphinx's Tutelage in play yet. Endbringer, nice. Let's play our land and try to swing for 10 again. And another fog effect. Alrighty. Well, that will be it for our turn. Is Commencement of Festivities also a common? It is. So they can have 8 fog effects in their deck at present. And drawing 2 cards a turn, they could have a lot of them. There's Dynavolt Tower. Luckily no energy yet, though there's one coming. Another deck in stone. Well, we want to play Reality Smasher, I think. And see if they have yet another fog effect. Yes, they do. That's 3 down, potentially 5 to go. Also 2 energy, and they can start killing things with Dynavolt Tower. Well, we will play our Evolving Wilds and fetch. And I think we will get a waste. We have 3 white sources already, 2 black sources. Plus the 1-shot on Aether Hub. Endbringer can come online next turn. Or Linvala. Pour over the pages. Well, they had to use an energy, so they don't have the 5 requisite to kill something at present. Though that could change, especially with the 3-card draw and untapping 2 lands that Pour Over the Pages brings. Well, nothing yet. Thought-Knot Seer. So maybe it's Thought-Knot Seer instead of Endbringer this turn. And there is the 4th fog effect. Here we go. Ooh. So do we want Chandra or do we want Rise from the Tides? They don't have another fog in hand. However, they have Nissa's Renewal. I think we have to take Rise from the Tides. Well, Evolving Wilds. Though we did have Deccanstone, so maybe Chandra was the correct pull there. Go ahead and get another waste. Unfortunately, we do not have the mana up to blink with Displacer, so Displacer is probably going to die here. No need to attack. They fogged. Blessed Alliance. Kind of useless at present versus what the opponent's doing. They did decline to kill something with Dynavolt on our instep, though. And there is Chandra. So I suppose she is going to wipe away everything but the Reality Smasher? No. Just going to Wheel of Fortune the opponent there. See, do these both prevent all combat damage? All combat damage, all combat damage. So we can't kill Chandra with those either. However, we did draw another Thought-Knot Seer. Chances are they drew another fog effect here. So let's go ahead and see if they wish to use it. Confirm. Yep, there is a fog. Probably should have swung everything at the opponent. We did have lethal. Sorry, making some play mistakes here. So, I suppose Thought-Knot Seer is our play. Thing in the ice. Well, we are going to take your other fog effect. And pass. Right. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. Only 2 left in the library. They are killing everything. Do we want to blink Thought-Knot Seer and get another card? I think we're going to. Let them draw a card, and then we will take the best card from their hand. Nissa's Renewal, Thing in the Ice. Yeah, we'll take the Nissa's Renewal. Alright. And they will draw another 2 cards. And probably kill our Thought-Knot Seer as well. Or not Thought-Knot Seer, but Reality Smasher with the Dynavolt. And they do. And there is the second Dynavolt we saw in their hand. And 1 Jotty. They have another one they could play. Soul for False. And pour over the pages. They may not have Sphinx's Tutelage in this deck. And as such, they may deck themselves here. That might actually be the plan we should be on. Be awesome if they would play that second Jotty out. Thing in the Ice is fine as well. Now we can play Linvala, gain 5 life, and get a 3/3 Angel. Skysovereign is okay as well. Let's go ahead and play Linvala. And they're doing 3 to us with Dynavolt. Do they have 4 spells in hand to trigger the flip on Thing in the Ice, though? If they do, they kill us. Well, there is Jotty. And there is second Thing in the Ice. So they do not. They could draw it with Fever Visions, though, which would give us 1 turn of a reprieve. They are down to 15 cards. Well, let's see if we can clean up their side of the board, please. Do we care about the Jotties? At this point, I think we probably don't. At least not very much. We can play Knight and get a Plains. Let's go ahead and attack, though. There is another Fog. I do apologize for that Skype sound there. Apparently I forgot to mute it. Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and play our Knight out. They have enough energy to use Dynavolt once now. Yes, I do. And we are just going to pass and take 2 from the Fever Visions here. We've got Blessed Alliance to gain some life. Chandra? Alright. Chandra ticking up, seeing a land, so we take 2. Second Wandering Fumarole for the opponent there, gaining them some life. And a Jace. Well, let's try to gain some life, shall we? Alright, hopefully they don't have another fog effect. Because we need some stuff to happen. Confirm. And it appears they do not have another fog effect. That helps somewhat. So, I guess we play Skysovereign into Thalia. Let's kill Jace. And then we'll play Thalia, Heretic, Cathar. We'll play and sacrifice our Evolving Wilds as well. This is a very, very nail-bitey game. Edge of the seat. Though I admit I have made some errors this game. So perhaps we might not have been in as bad a shape as we are should I have played a bit better. Avacyn's Judgment. Killing Thalia. Well, we want to respond by crewing Skysovereign with her. That way we can block Ephemeral should they happen to come this way. All right. Luckily that takes away one of the energy, otherwise we would just be dead here. As it is, we're going to 1. And I think we've got the game unless I've done my math wrong. We will play Thalia. And crew with Thalia. And animate Shambling Vent. And I think this is 18 damage. And go ahead and kill a Jotty Offshoot. Alright, so that soaks up 2. That should be exactly 16 then. And it is. Math's hard, guys. Don't try to do math on camera. Well, that will do it for this episode of Friday Night Magic, friends. As I have said before, control is a difficult path to walk in Magic duels at present. You can tune your deck to try to beat aggro decks. You can tune your deck to try to beat other controlling decks. Most likely you should be tuning for the aggro because they are much more prevalent than the other controlling decks. But thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like below. It really does help tremendously. Hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. I have been Teveron, and until next time, friends, be excellent to each other.